aim to sustain the confident work of our industries and to supply our domestic market under the current circumstances and also in the long term. Today, on our agenda, we are going to talk about the food industry. We are going to consider all the factors, including the area of the farmlands, melioration, access to fertilizers and industry for the food industry. So we are going to talk about everything that will define the amount and the quality of the food in the stores and which will also directly affect the prices. As you know, the situation on the global food market in the last 2 years has become more complicated. The mistakes in the energy and the food policies of developed countries led to the upsurge in prices, food prices, back 2 years ago. And the situation in recent weeks has exacerbated even further. Against the ground of the shortage of food, they are introducing new sanctions. They stop, they ban industries, and they hinder the logistics chain. And the West doesn't produce as much fertilizers because the gas prices are also increasing because of the activities of our Western partners. The situation in the energy industry is becoming worse because of the administrative pressure against our Gazprom company in a number of European countries. We can see another attempt of our partners to shift their own mistakes, to shift the blame for that, and to try to resolve the problems, the issues at our expense. More than that, we hear statements by the official public persons about nationalizing our assets. So it can go very far. Let's not forget that this weapon can strike both sides. Coming back to our agenda, I would like to say that the fertilizer shortage globally is something that we can't avoid. Not every country can buy enough fertilizers for the current season, and that means that the yield will also drop. And it's important to say that the developed countries using the financial emission mechanism will try to acquire the food flows, and hence, they are going to exacerbate food shortage in the poorest countries of the world. They are going to start new influx of immigrants, and the food prices will grow even further. And such scenario is more than realistic. And here in Russia, we need to be prepared for this. It means that we need to minimize negative implications for our citizens. We need to increase the production and supply of quality and accessible food, including fish products. That's the essential target for this year, and we need to decrease the dependence of our farming industry, fisheries industry, on imports along the entire chain, from the field to the shelves in the supermarkets. And I would like to draw your attention towards seeds, vitamins, additives, pesticides, and we need to set goals to substitute the import, and we need to achieve these goals in the near future. Considering the potential of our agricultural industry, our science, our industry in general, we have every capability to achieve that. I would like to remind you, after sanctions were imposed back in 2014, our manufacturers managed to use this window of opportunities in the farming industry because the domestic market was available to them now. It gave a strong impetus to the development, and they started growing with the support of the state, of course, with the support of the government. In the last 7 years, the amount of farming products has increased by 15%. Food products have increased by more than 1/4. In the major groups of food, our domestic market is protected because we produce everything domestically. And in some groups, like the sunflower seed oil and others, so we have more than enough to cover the demand inside the country. And we also have very good export potential. After 2020, our country has become the main exporter of the agricultural production. So we sell more, we export more than we import if we talk about farming products. Back 20 years ago, it seemed impossible, it seemed incredible, and today our exports cover more than 160 countries in the world. I would like to emphasize we have managed to achieve this during the pandemic as well, when all across the world production and logistics chain were disrupted, but our farmers, they succeeded in overcoming these obstacles and they even strengthened their positions. It is clear that this year, against the backdrop of the global shortage of food, we need to be more careful about exporting our food abroad. We need to watch closely the parameters of such exports to the country that pursue hostile policies against our country. And I would like to mention here that the increased amount of production allow us to keep the prices inside Russia at a lower level than globally. Food self-sufficiency is the advantage of Russia, and it should work in the interests of our citizens. We need to protect them from upsurges of food prices at the global market. I would like to draw government's attention that we need to work on this consistently, continuously, so that the result of our work was visible to the people and to the businesses. I would like to remind you, we already have fluctuating fees on grains and on oils to make the farmers' work more stable. We try to regulate the fertilizers market. In advance, we made all this decision, and we did the right thing by doing this, because we need to control the supply of fuel, seeds, and breeding products. And enterprises should have the chance to make necessary loans, to take necessary loans to resolve the tasks that they have currently. And also, with the external limitations, the important, essential task is to provide modern equipment and spare parts to the farmers. I would like to hear the reports from my colleagues from the government. How do we resolve these issues? And representatives of the industry who participate in today's meeting, they need to assess to what extent is it enough? And once again, I would like to emphasize that the essential goal for the government, for the enterprises, for the regions to keep sustainable the level of economic activity in our farming industry, fishery industry, so that our producers and manufacturers could start new businesses, could create new jobs, could increase the production of those commodities where we have to import. Obviously, we can't produce bananas, so we will have to import them. I think that we need to set feasible targets, feasible goals, so that in the upcoming years we could reach the growth indicators, stable growth indicators. You are saying this yourselves, more than 3% per year. To do that, we need to increase the melioration, we need to use new lands for farming, and we need to use them more intensely, using fertilizers, using new machines, using new information technology as well. And in farming, this digital and information technology are in large demand, and we need to increase the accessibility of loans. We need to fund these new businesses, and we need to renew the fleet for the fishery industry. We have been working on that for some time now. I'm not going to talk about that in further details. We will go back to that later. I would like to hear about the initiatives in this regard. And our priority here is the development of the farmlands that we have at our disposal, building roads and other infrastructure, social infrastructure, modern housing. It is important so that people who work on the farms, who feed the country, had comfortable housing to live in. And I would like you to consider these priorities during our today's discussions regarding the initiatives in this sector. In the morning, we already discussed certain things with some of my colleagues, something that we are going to discuss in further details today. So let's start our work. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Dmitry Patrushev, please.